You're tuned in to the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla Kallander and Andrew Yagi. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
Welcome to episode 86 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Kallander, and I'm a mortgage lender.
I'm Andrew Yagi, and I'm a real estate agent.
Hello, Andrew Yagi. How are we doing today?
Kayla, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I was going to look at the weather first. Let me look really quick here. I'm good. 78 and sunny. We're good today. So
yeah.
I like it.
It's actually kind of almost like a back to summer type of weather week.
Yeah, when I look at the weather compared to last week, I mean, this is great. Hopefully this lasts through October. I like it.
I kind of enjoy fall weather. I like the cool mornings. I like, just better working conditions, outdoors, especially for those of us that do dive into some farming in the fall, and just doing outdoor projects. Like I find we're doing a variety of projects at home. Out working on some rental property stuff. My team and I were working on a couple of flips, so it's just a little bit more comfortable weather in the fall. But it is nice to have some warm days as well.
I know when that cold weather came for a bit, it kind of shook me. I'm like, what is this? This is not what I'm used to, but it is welcomed. And I think a lot of people associate football and back to school and all those things. So it's kind of like a welcome all at once. And speaking of, your kiddos are back in school, right?
They are back in school. Yeah, I guess we didn't have time to shoot video last week. Both of us had busy schedules, but yes, on the Minnesota side, we're back to school, and we're kind of continuing our tradition, Kayla, where I make the girls sing the first day of school song, which I think is like Ellen or something, which, so just the two of the three girls that are in school kind of sang with me. And so Ella's in second grade, Violet's in kindergarten. And this is the first year where Ella actually told me, Dad, like, this is kind of weird. But they did it anyway.
First day of school, so many things to learn and do. I'm so excited when I get to
So one of our podcast fans, Matt, commented on the site. He's like, well, it's only weird if you still made them do it when they're seniors in high school. But I think a lot of people agreed, boy, that'd be really awesome to do it their senior year. And some seniors comment like, hey, I would totally do this, as a senior.
I think you need to do that forever because they will always remember that. How fun. Yeah. And it gets weird when you're a kid and you're like, oh, I'm singing, or like anything is weird as a kid. Like, it's just, you're awkward. Like, I remember being in elementary school, my stomach would growl and I was so embarrassed of my stomach growling. Like, these kids will appreciate that, Andy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. No, I think they will. And I think just over the years, I mean, it'd be fun if they, do other things musically, or maybe we'll be singing it in 4-part harmony when I get all three girls going, and we'll
never know. You never know. I love it. Well, I'm glad that they're back at school. They look like they're enjoying it.
They are. Yeah, they are enjoying it. It's we have our girls attend a Catholic school, and just a really great environment, small class sizes, 18 to 20 kids, probably 16 to 18 on average, and yeah, just a really a family environment. I mean, I enjoy taking them, to school and just seeing other families, seeing the teachers, the other students. Even this morning, I peeked in a little bit, and Violet, who's our kindergartner, she was sitting and she was having breakfast as I was walking out with another kid who actually is a friend from daycare. And so they were sitting there, and his dad's actually a real estate agent as well. So I kicked it over to him, and so it's just kind of fun to see kind of those relationships early on. And, of course, as we know from life, Kayla, most of those early relationships don't always stick, but, have in our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Amen. Well, I had someone ask me, I didn't tell you this, but last week they're like, hey, so how do you know Andrew Yagi? Like, how did you guys do a podcast? He's in Fergus, so you're there, like what? And I told them about college, you know what I mean? Like even college relationships, you know what I mean? They don't last, or, you know, sometimes due to proximity with your coworkers, you know, you're close with them and then you leave for a different job. So it's fun to see relationships last, and you never know where those little ones will go. You just never know.
Right, for sure.
Love
So
that.
Kayla, are you all laked out for the year?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I think that projects and being out on the boat all day and the dogs and hosting, it's amazing. It's such a blessing, but it gets to be a little long, you know, because your house is neglected at home. You're not getting, you know, the other projects done. So we went out there last weekend and it was a beautiful fall. It's just different in the fall. It's quieter. And it's does this thing where like the water's so warm, Andy, and the air is so crisp that it creates a steam and fog. So that's one of my favorite parts about fall is like that fog.
I saw that, and I thought the picture that was captured of you standing down on the dock, I, half expected like the Black Pearl from Pirates of the Caribbean to kind of, kind of appear in the shot or something.
Honestly, it's kind of creepy, but yeah, it was wild. I could hear like some fish or birds in the fog, and I'm like, this is weird, but it's beautiful when the sun comes up. And I never knew that. So I grew up in Walhalla. We didn't have lakes. And then my husband's family, we would just go in the summer. So I never experienced lake in the fall until we got our lake home, and it's really cool. It's awesome. So
Sure. Yeah, it's always so interesting, and like being in Fergus Falls, like as I come to work and I get to like the west side of town and where the elevation starts falling off, and in the low lying areas, and especially with water, we do end up with a lot of fog, random mornings when there's not much temperature dew point spread, if you want to get technical. So that's what causes visible moisture when the temperature and dew point meet. But anyway, it's just, yeah, it's kind of one of those neat things, sometimes a little bit annoying, especially when things are busy, and or if you want to go fly and or need to get into an airport when you have that low spread, can create some issues as well.
There you go. Have you been flying lately at all, by the way?
I have been doing a little bit of flying, not quite as much. I was supposed to go on kind of a trip this weekend. It got canceled, which actually I was kind of grateful for. I've just kind of had some early fall colds going through our house, and I've just been a little congested. And in fact, I had to do music for a funeral on Saturday, and I woke up kind of with no voice, which was a little bit problem to work through, and I don't know, a little bit, but yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, I mean,
So Kayla, what have you been seeing in the market lately? In terms of rates and everything out there, everyone keeps talking about, hey, we're hoping for a Fed rate cut, but then we've seen some movement in mortgage rates as well. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of clients of mine, especially if you're a mortgage lender, if you're in real estate, if you know anybody in the world that's living right now in the nation, they're talking about mortgage rates. But one of the things that's really kind of a misconception, Andy, is that when and if the Fed cuts mortgage or cuts rates, so just rates, interest rates, overnight funds rate, that will impact mortgage rates. And that's not the case. They're not correlated, but oftentimes we will see that mortgage rates move in anticipation of a Fed cut. Sometimes we've seen mortgage rates go up after a Fed cut. So my communication to everybody is, listen, rates are moving now. Now, we just had a job report that came out that came in much, much less. I think it was 22,000 compared to 75,000 jobs. So inflation has impacted mortgage rates as well. So we're seeing rates have declined. Now we're seeing a 30-year fixed national average around 6.25. And I'm locking people. Yesterday, I was locking people in the 5s. They were paying it down a little bit. Now, every scenario is different, but I share this with you because when we go pull up, Andy, can you scroll down in case people do see this? Can you scroll down just a little bit on this right below that graph? If you keep going, maybe it will. If you hit mortgage rates and then hit scroll down. But I want to show you guys, I'm at the top there. Keep going, mortgage rates, and then it should show you the daily. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. But the daily, it's showing by like 0.1, 0.12, 0.2, 0.1. And it's overall. Like we're seeing a change sometimes to the day of point, like see this right here, 0.01. So people will hear rates are at their lowest, but it's by 0.01 compared to the day before. So I share that because clients need to be aware, where were we at a week ago? Where are we at today? And Mortgage News Daily breaks it down so that you can even go and follow what the daily trend is done. So yes, rates are low. Should you be having conversations about refinancing? Yeah, if you're in the set like a 7 range or a little under, you could be having that conversation. A lot of clients, Andy, you probably see this, try to time the market. They're like, well, now I'm going to go and get pre-qualified. And then it's going to take me some time to meet with my lender, get that done. Then I'm going to start shopping for a house. That's going to take a month or 2 months. For some people, Andy, it could be a year. So we see people then try to time it, but the people that really got to lock in those rates were the ones that were pre-qualified, found a home, and had a contract ready to go. So I share that all because rates are down. You should be talking with your lenders. But, if home ownership has kept you, rates have kept you on the fence, really it's down, and you can take advantage now of being able to afford more in a house or have a lower payment because we're seeing it right around that 6.25 mark.
Yeah, I'll say a lot of people are, I see, they're toying with the idea. I don't know that a lot of people are necessarily jumping into action. Still seeing a variety of buyers that are coming out. Agents are showing, the properties we have listed, not necessarily with pre-approved buyers. And, as I followed up, as a lot of agents are not great at leaving feedback, and I follow up for feedback. Yeah, they really liked it, but yeah, they've got to get with their lender still. And maybe by the middle of next week we'll have an answer, which, it is what it is. When we work with buyers, Kayla, we're, pretty stringent on individuals, kind of working on that in advance, and not everybody is. I saw online you had a chart recently talking about how rates impact affordability. Talk about that.
Yeah. So a lot of clients, you hear the rates, I really like 5%, I really like 6%, but nobody knows how that actually impacts them personally. So I made this graph. It shows loan amount on the left and it shows interest rate on the right. The total in the white and gray, that is your principal and interest. So if you were shopping originally at 7% and your loan amount was $250, 7% at $250 is $1,663. Well, if rates are now at, let's just say around 6, you're now being able to afford $1,499 for a payment. Or you can go and say, okay, well, I was at that $1,663. If rates are at 6, well, geez, what can I do? I can go up another 25, 30 grand. So it's just an easy cheat sheet because 99% of people that I talk to, Andy, have no clue how interest rates impact their payment, nor should they. They're not running the numbers. But this is just a nice, helpful little tool to really just break it down.
Sure. Interesting. And what about North Dakota housing, Kayla?
Yeah, North Dakota housing rates have come down a bit. So you can see as low as 5.5 for the first home programs. If you're getting assistance, as low as 6.050. If you're a repeat buyer, meaning you have owned a home before and you still want to get down payment assistance, 6.75 you can get. So you can get all of your down payment covered and be a repeat buyer in North Dakota and really just come to the closing with $500. And so there's some really cool options that are still out there with rates that are not in the 8s like we once saw. So
awesome.
Helps. Yeah,
for sure. Kayla, I want to talk a little bit about a report you sent over to me that I thought was really interesting, the 2025 NextGen Homebuyer Report. Honestly, I've never seen this before, but it was really kind of interesting. And, as you talk about, especially one item in here, they give, some of their insights, call it kind of their top 10, which I'll let you go through. But the one that really jumped out at me was number one, the down payment myth remains. So you talk about coming to closing with $500. Nearly half of NextGen believe you need 20% down to buy a home, and only 8% correctly identified the minimum down payment for a conventional loan of 3%. And that doesn't even touch on options like North Dakota housing or a USDA rural redevelopment loan or a VA loan, where, you basically, whatever your closing costs are, less whatever you can negotiate, you may have to come to closing with little to no money down.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting clients into homes for literally $500, $600, $700. And, I had a client in my office a couple weeks ago. Not sure if I told you this, but they said, hey, we want to get pre-qualified with you. I didn't know they were talking to another company, but I finished, we completed it. I showed them everything, what I do. And I said, okay, so the minimum down is 3%. And we can get you pre-qualified for your budget. You actually can go higher if you want. And they just looked at me in kind of shock. They're like, what do you mean? And like, what do you mean? Like, and they said, well, we went to X bank in town and they said we need 20% down. Well, I asked them, I'm like, well, why did they share that? And she said, well, they never took an application. They just said that's what it is. So that is concerning to me, because if clients just go and speak to one lender, I mean, if you meet with one bad lender, I mean, that can be your future of home ownership. So
Wow.
I'm still seeing it, is my point, is
So
that
the lender did not want to do business with them.
clearly not. I don't know what the deal was, but they're like, yeah, they just told us that and we didn't do an application. And I'm like, well, technically you can't tell someone not to apply, but they're all ready to go. They are out looking and searching, but how many people see that on TikTok or social media or talk to their grandparent that says you need 20% down because you cannot pay mortgage insurance, when mortgage insurance is like sometimes $40 a month. And if that gets you into a home, creating appreciation and paying your own, mortgage instead of somebody else's, it's completely worth it. But it's just that people are not, they're not educated.
Mhm.
So
it's almost as bad as in the home buying process when someone brings their dad's brother or something who was a contractor, or someone who used to be an agent or whatever, and they're coming in and trying to give helpful advice that is inaccurate, or just in general isn't helpful, just trying to kind of puff up their chests and show that they have knowledge of sorts.
Yeah, and the deal is things change constantly. You and I talk about, Andy, that you want someone that doesn't do one transaction a year, but yet people that did one transaction 10 years ago are seen as the experts because of proximity, family, friends. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, that can derail deals too. Not just being told that from an expert that's not an expert about 20% down. You could be missing out on a deal because a parent or someone told you, and it's just not accurate. So, but there's a lot of insights in that NextGen Homebuyer Report.
And what is this? Because I think you said it comes out periodically. So what is this report, or who is First Home IQ? What
Yeah.
is it?
So First Home IQ is a nonprofit. So if in my world, the Kristin Messerlis of the world. So Kristin Messerli has been around for quite some time, and she really has really in-depth, deep conversations with Gen Z, especially. But the First Home IQ is a nonprofit that a lot of us lenders are part of. I think I might be the only one in North Dakota still, but we have access to multiple resources. If we want to go into colleges or universities or companies and teach on financial literacy, there's so much that's missing in terms of just buying a house. So they provide a ton of resources to us or anybody that wants to go in and educate. But they do this report, and then they do it quarterly, and then they send it out. And I just love the statistics, even though it blows my mind every time. It's just eye-opening to see kind of how they gather their feedback and use their resources.
Yeah, I was just kind of looking through this a little bit, and it talked about the fact that this was kind of a financial literacy study they did, and so they took 500 respondents, age 18 to 44, Gen Z, younger millennials, 25 to 34, and those of us more senior millennials, 35 to 44. 52% female, 48% male, 62% planning to buy within 1 to 3 years.
And
so,
we also do a quiz that we all get. So like I can have people out taking my quiz and I can see their results. And so a lot of this comes from those quizzes too. It's like a 25-question quiz, but it really allows you to understand what your client is experiencing before you even speak to them.
Sure.
So,
yeah. Well, do you want to go through some of these,
Yeah.
some of the information that they found since?
Yeah, I would love to. And I love this. And it's in a nice, beautiful little breakdown. But yeah, we talked about, top insights. And one of them was being the down payment myth. Again, a lot of people don't understand you don't need 20% down. And even if you're told to put 20% down to avoid mortgage insurance, please, please, please talk to a lender, because if you're talking $20 to $40 a month, I mean, that it's going to take you 25 years to save up 20% at that point. So have conversations with the right people, have conversations with multiple lenders. And that's where number 2 comes in. Mortgage insurance is misunderstood. It says only 35% recognize its main benefit is to enable a small down payment. And so a lot of people, 57%, Andy, that's wild to me, don't know it can be removed during the loan term. So I always share with my clients, okay, this is going to fall off when you're at 80% loan to value. So when we quote a payment and let's say it's $50 more a month in, sometimes let's just say it's 11 years or 8 years, that could fall off and you no longer have that. So it's not forever. So that's a common misconception. Design matters. 72% wish financial resources were designed in a simpler, more visual way. 100% agree.
Kind of like your social media design, where you're going and breaking it down and putting it, just give me the information I need to know.
Trying. I'm trying to kind of get stuff out there, and because a lot of times we're talking heads or we hop on our stories, but sometimes people just want something digestible that you can send, and that's something that I'll send to my clients too. But number 4 was financial overwhelm may lead to delays. 52% feel overloaded by financial information. No kidding. And 51% have delayed major financial decisions due to complexity. And truthfully, confident clients make confident decisions. And if there's lack of any clarity for the biggest purchase of your life, that's one of the things, Andy, I'll probably go off on a tangent here. When realtors or financial advisors send me, my job is not to give a letter. It's to educate, empower, strategize, talk financial literacy. What does this mean? Should we pay this debt off? Have you talked to your financial planner? And so I feel like the more realtors and financial planners and clients understand that our job as a lender is not to just hand a piece of paper over. Some do, trust me, many just do that. Like that's what's missing is there's just no empowerment. There's no education, and that's where clients sit on the fence. So.
But Kayla, I think a lot of it does go back to the education we received, because I still go back to growing up. The main financial education I remember in school growing up, number 1 was in 6th grade in one of our exploratory classes where we learned how to balance a checkbook. And not long after, my dad had got me a checkbook and gave me a little bit of money, mostly to pay bills, to learn responsibility. I'll never forget overdrawing the checking account and my dad just chewing my hind end. Needless to say, I never ever had another overdraft again. So that's one piece, but then jumping ahead to high school, like we had maybe an investment club or this or that, but there really wasn't a lot of financial education. A business finance class or whatever, but not really practical life skills. Yeah. And what they did teach was, hey, go out and get a 4-year degree. It doesn't matter what it is. It's going to be worthwhile. And then having classmates with $100,000 in debt that didn't really have anything to show for it. I think that, the education system and also, parents, largely failing their kids. But I do understand where there is so much overload with financial information today. I mean, set the basics aside. Well, even just talking about the basics, it can be overwhelming, the house and day to day. But even more than that, for those that get out and say, okay, I want to think more about retirement. I want to make sure I've got a good financial future, or maybe I'm living biblically and I want to leave an inheritance for my children and their children's children, or just give back to organizations. There are so many options out there. I get overwhelmed quite often, but at a certain point, Kayla, you just have to do something. You've got to pick a path. You've got to just go, and because inaction is as bad as, sometimes taking the wrong action.
Indecision is a decision. Put that on a bumper sticker, but it's true. And I look back, and I don't know if you know this, but I used to, when I worked at Choice Bank, we would go into high schools and we would choose 12 students. We'd interview them and we'd create the junior bank board. Did you ever have that?
I never
Something
did.
Similar. And because it wasn't taught in schools, and I'm like, this is basic. This is such important information. But you're right, Andy. It stems from the fact that people aren't told these things. So it's either up to us, or you have to kind of, as a consumer, really dive in and make sure you're researching before you just jump into home buying too, I suppose. So
right on.
Okay, so number 5, Gen Z leans into influencers for home buying info. 41% of Gen Z trust influencers for home buying advice, and 71% use TikTok for research.
How many
I
TikTok leads have you had, Kayla?
I haven't had a ton, but I've also had some issues with TikTok. I had to start over some things, but I know a few girls that and gentlemen that, I mean, one of them put up something about rates a couple weeks ago. She had 1,200 leads from TikTok, and
Wow.
I mean, it's
How do you
why
even sift through those?
I mean, you have to have a team. And
Yeah.
that's just it. Now you have your brand, and your brand is not just this fancy like brand, it's your reputation. And so these people are creating their reputation one to many with social media. People get to know, like, and trust them. So of course they're going to reach out. Why would I reach out to my 50-year-old banker who never works a weekend? I'm sorry, I'm saying this, I'm probably gonna get in trouble. Who never works a weekend, who doesn't respond, who takes 6 days to get you a letter, when you got this young girl, I'll just use Theone is her name, and she's like, hey, I've got my baby on my hip, let's do this. Like, good for her. And she's helping people understand the value of having someone by your side 24/7 to an extent.
Yeah.
I digress. But
Yeah, no, I think that that's very valuable. And I have a number of people that reach out online as well. They're like, hey, I see you. And I'll have people send a private message on Facebook. They're like, hey, I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but hey,
yeah,
I've got questions, or hey, I'm really interested in this property you have listed. And so it's like, hey, you reach out, whatever is easiest and most comfortable for you. And again, those that are, again, catering to the younger generations, which again is the largest group of home buyers out there today, are the ones that are going to win, especially those that provide education.
I will say, and I'd be curious what you have to say on this, but I get a lot of people on my Facebook Messenger who reach out, hey, I went to high school with you. Hey, I remember you from basketball, whatever it may be. And they've seen me for the years. And even though they're not liking and commenting and sharing, they're seeing. And just yesterday, I talked to a gentleman. I think I met him in high school. I think like twice. And he's coming to me for a home loan because he's seen I'm local. It's consistent. Andy, are you getting, where would you say most of your, I would say, your DMs are coming from? Is it Instagram, Facebook, TikTok?
I would say Facebook. I mean, I'm more Facebook heavy. I always say that I'm kind of geriatric when it comes to social media. And I've had people say, "Oh, you're crushing it, you're whatever," and it's like I'm consistent with a few things, but I don't create the fun little reels like you do. But that's the beauty of it. You just do your thing, and I do have people tell me like, "Hey, I see you everywhere," and I consistently have people come to me. I mean, even some of the older generations. Hey, we've got a parent's house to sell. Like today, I've got an individual where, hey, dad's in his 90s. We need to sell his house. Dad's doing great, but just too much yard work. And, the gal basically said, hey, I see you online all the time, and I think you'd be a good fit. So, but yeah, I would say Facebook, and, from a lot of people at different stages in life. I just had someone reach out talking about a lake property who, hey, I don't know you, but I know your brothers. Like, hey, can we talk? I had someone that a few years ago, we did a short sale for them. They were in a tough situation. And hey, I don't know you, but I know your brothers and your sister and whatever. And there are a lot that I know as well too. But it just, you never know where a lead may come from and how you might be able to help somebody.
Yeah, it's true. And I love that. Like, now more than ever, you have the ability to speak your voice in a way you want. If you can do just traditional video, you can do it from your phone. You can just you don't even have to show your face. And at the end of the day, you can help somebody. So props to the influencers out there. You and I are on the same page on that.
Kayla, I love in this report, number 6, AI going mainstream. 61% would use AI tools like ChatGPT for home buying information, which is up from 35%. And so I wouldn't say I'm using ChatGPT working, internally looking for home buying info, because I work in it. But I mean, I use ChatGPT, or I use Grok, or Gemini once in a while, for a variety of different things, and it's a super great tool.
It is, and I think that people are leaning into it more. It's understanding you. I think that sometimes it's easy. I'm kind of for it. Like, a client will come to me with a question, and I'll explain it. But I wonder how many people are like, oh, I wonder what this line means on this, that, Kayla talked about it, but I want more info. How wonderful that people can go and dive in. And I'm not saying I don't want people to bother me or question or talk to me. I'm just saying, like, you have these resources at your fingertips where you can dive in. But I had a girlfriend who's a lender, and she had a client putting in her loan estimate, and it said like, grill this loan estimate. And he was coming at her with, and she's like, no, like that's a title fee, like that's required. So it can kind of go both ends, of the spectrum. But I mean, I use it all the time, and I'm sure clients are going to start using it too.
Yep, for sure. Kayla, number 7.
Yeah, confidence does not equal competence. So women report significantly lower confidence than men, 38 versus 47%, yet perform equally well on literacy assessments. So lower confidence often correlates with more thorough research. I would agree, right? I mean, if you're signing on the dotted line for the biggest purchase of your life, don't you want to make sure you understand? Don't you want to make sure you take the time before you sign the contract that says, what you're going to pay your realtor to list, before you sign to say the loan terms? I mean, yes, your lender and your realtor should be educating you, but you have to feel confident yourself. If you don't understand something, speak up. If you want more information on something, speak up. Andy, I've got clients that one will say, just give me the basics because I feel like I get it. Others are like, I want to go into the depths of the depths, so everyone has different learning abilities and wants. So I say speak up on those.
Have you ever had a client at a closing read through every single document they had to sign?
No, we provide a lot of it up front. Now, back in the day, you didn't get it up front, but I have not. Have you?
I did have one, and it was, hey, they've got to be comfortable with what they're signing. It was a painful, lengthy closing.
Yeah. And it's like, I get it, but it's also, what's really great is a lot of things can be done ahead of time now before you go sign. So that's like, that's nice.
Kayla, the last 3 points on this report.
Yeah. Number 8 is blind trust is not beneficial. Buyers who expressed some distrust of lenders actually perform better on financial literacy assessments than those with complete trust. I think that goes with anything, don't you?
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
You have to trust the expert, but also, be a little bit cautiously optimistic. Look at that person that told my client 20% down was required. Talk to other people.
By the side of it, until they didn't, until they slipped up.
And go to Google and ask around. And then 9, 2 dominant buyer mindsets. Stay secure buyers. So 53% value stability, verify sources, and perform higher on the quiz. Enjoy life buyers, 35% have higher confidence, but more vulnerability to myths, requiring different educational approaches. So I think it just depends on your risk level. They say the stay secure buyers value stability, and they do their due diligence, and the enjoy life buyers, 35% have higher confidence, but more vulnerability. So, to each their own. That's probably that stat probably changes every quarter. And then 10, generational knowledge gap. Quiz scores rise with age. Gen Z, 67%, young millennials like us, 71%, older millennials, 74%.
Kind of like a fine wine, just getting better with time.
Yeah. Well, the older you are, the better you're doing on the quiz. So, but I still think Gen Z has more access to resources than we've ever known. And whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, they just have to be looking at the right places.
Right on. I think that was a really good, really helpful report. And, hopefully those that are listening, enjoyed it as well. And I guess really just my biggest takeaway was, education is key. And, for those out there who are pondering, selling a home or purchasing a home, just don't, if something doesn't feel right, or, if you're uncertain, don't take whatever someone tells you as gospel just because they're working in the business.
100%. And I think too, there's nothing wrong with talking to other people, but also don't get so, going down the rabbit hole of, well, this realtor is going to list for this, and this lender's fee is $30 cheaper. And, because then you're going to drive yourself crazy. So I think there's 2 ends of the spectrum. Just find that happy medium.
Right. Kayla, just a few more points today. First of all, I saw something about President Trump signing a trigger lead bill into law. What is that, and why, as a prospective buyer, would I be excited about that?
Well, when you apply for a home loan and you have your credit pulled for mortgage purposes, what happens is it is 1000% legal for credit bureaus to sell your information to other mortgage lenders. So guess what? I'm going to say it. I'm a slimy mortgage lender up in a tower working in a virtual call center. I just got 10 leads that I just came right to me. They're all phone numbers of people wanting to buy mortgages or get mortgages because I just got this trigger lead, as they call it, that tells me that. So these call centers call people that, for example, I meet with a client, I pull credit, boom, boom, boom. 35 people start calling my client. It is illegal, Andy. And these clients are getting abused and harassed because they're just trying to get through the mortgage process with me. In the meantime, they're getting calls and texts from people they don't know in different cities and different states, some pretending to even be me, which is weird. And it's confusing and it's harassment in my personal thoughts. But Trump has signed a bill that next March, going into, I think it's like somewhere mid-March, this will go into effect where this no longer occurs. The only people that will see your credit being pulled is like your current servicer or the mortgage company you're working with. So it was just to the point where, Andy, I've had clients getting like 50 calls a day. And you can visit www.optoutprescreen.com, but a lot of lenders aren't telling their clients this before they apply. So we try to tell them up front, hey, do this. But as you know, Andy, a lot of people are like, well, I want to apply today, and it takes a day or two. So a great win for us because it's just harassment.
Yeah, for sure. No, I really like that.
Yay, a win.
You got and you said March that takes effect?
March 2026. Yep.
We're not right now.
I'm just assuming it's going to take some time to get all the pieces into place. And you think too, like, I don't know what goes on the back end because I've never worked for a call center that handles trigger leads, but you got to wonder, like, are there certain things that they're still doing that they have to stop, or certain things on credit reports that they have to remove now? That I don't know, but I just know it'll take some time.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kayla, we've talked about a lot of great things today, and always good to catch up. We'll look forward to chatting more with you next week.
Sounds like a plan. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a great week.
I will. Bye, Andy.
Yeah.